Hello, everyone. Welcome to Doman Learning's January question and answer session. This is our monthly Q&A here at Doman Learning, where we ask, or rather we answer parents' questions that come in from around the world about the Doman Method, early childhood education, and parenting. The way that this Q&A works is we do take questions from the public, but we always start with pre-submitted questions from parents who have already enrolled in Doman Learning's early reading or math courses, which are called the Reading Before School course or the Math Before School course, as well as our other early learning courses. So I'm going to start with questions that were already submitted through our Facebook group for people who have enrolled in those courses, and then I will take questions from the public. So for those of you who are joining, whether you're here with me on Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram, go ahead and start typing your questions in. And as soon as I've gotten to all of my pre-submitted questions, I will get to yours. Now, a couple of quick announcements before I jump into questions. The first thing is, at Doman Learning, we're going to be releasing a new video at 6 p.m. Eastern time tonight that I recorded with my brother Noah. And the video is all about Baby Einstein. You know, Baby Einstein is a very famous company that in a sense, we're kind of like pioneers in baby media and teaching babies through videos. And it became very famous, or maybe I should say infamous, because some of the tactics that it used and the way the videos were created. So at 6 p.m., we're going to release a video all about Baby Einstein, tell you what our thoughts are about Baby Einstein, given our many years of experience. I think you'll find that very interesting. If you like that video, please share it with other parents. So hopefully they learn from it as well. As I said, that'll be released tonight. The second announcement, I make this announcement every month. Currently, we have a coupon code at Doman Learning that you can use for 10% off any course or bundle. And the coupon code is Spencer10, which I'll just go ahead and post here so you can, if you plan on signing up for any Doman Learning course or materials this month, just go ahead, check out, use the coupon code Spencer10, and you will get 10% off. All right, let me jump into the questions that I got. So the first question I received is from Naomi. And Naomi says, "Hi, Spencer. I started the Doman reading and math programs with my son when he was only 4 months old. At first, it was hard to keep his focus, especially after he became mobile. And I tried to adapt by using the homemade books and showing fewer word cards, but his interest was inconsistent. Recently, though, we've had a breakthrough. At 13 months, he's now focused on word cards. He loves sitting for books and even brings me his favorites. His vocabulary is growing quickly, and he understands so much, even though he's not speaking yet." So Naomi has her questions right now, but I want to make a quick comment here. So first of all, Naomi, I really respect and appreciate your consistency and your ability to overcome challenges. Sometimes when parents get started with the program, they may not realize that, depending on where their child is in that moment of their development, they might really want very short sessions or only a few reading and math sessions in a day. And sometimes they take the information from our courses and they try to implement it kind of perfectly as we stated in the course. But sometimes kids really need the frequency and intensity of the program tailored to them for that period of their development. So I think you did a great job. You kind of weathered the storm, and now you get to really enjoy the successes that you have had. Now you have a 13-month-old who loves seeing word cards, loves the books, and as you said, he's understanding so much because of all of the stimulation that you've given him. And hopefully this inspires others, because I think sometimes other parents, they hit a kind of rough patch and they give up, which is understandable, but you kind of push through it, and I think you're seeing a lot of those results. All right, let me get now to Naomi's question, and I'll go ahead and post this so all of you can see it. So Naomi is saying, now that he's interested, how should I get him back on track with the reading program? We're currently on the month 3 single word materials. Should I go back to couplets, sentences, and then homemade books? So Naomi, good question. No, you're not going to stop homemade books because he really loves them, and you don't want to take away one of his favorite parts of the program, right? When children like something, they like something, right? And so if you were to take away homemade books right now, he'd have every right to be like, wait, why did you take away my favorite thing? But I do recommend, now that he enjoys the single words, you should continue advancing with the word cards in the Doman Learning course. You've got 6 months of words there. You're only in month 3. So keep going with single words. And then I would also, if I were you, I would add couplets for sure. Now is the time for you to start filling in the gaps of doing the couplets and the sentences, but don't stop the homemade books. And keep in mind, if you run, you might be thinking, ooh, but I'm going to run out of homemade books because I'm using up my books quickly. Remember, there's always the Doman Books course that has homemade books even for the parents that use all 24 books in that reading before school course. In the Doman Books course, there's another 48 books if you need them. Great question, Naomi. Okay, now Naomi also has a math question. She says that with the math program, they got up to showing him the quantity cards up to 90, but she had to pause because it just didn't seem to be working. She says, I haven't tried the quantity cards again since his interest in the reading program has picked up. I'm not sure how much he retained from before. In a recent Q&A, I heard you mention that introducing numeral cards for children who have lost interest in quantity cards, do you think that would be a good approach for him? The answer is yes. I think, Naomi, just given everything you're saying, start the numeral cards with him and let's see how he responds. And please, check in a future Q&A and let me know how things are going. All right. The next question that was pre-submitted, by the way, for everyone who's joining late, I will take questions from the public very soon, but I'm starting with pre-submitted questions from parents who have already enrolled in our Doman Learning courses. So Penelope says, hi there, I'm loving the program and still in the first month, but have downloaded and printed off all the materials up to the 6th month. Just wondering, before we get to these, if there are pictures for couplets and sentences or just for the single words. So Penelope, as you're realizing with these Doman Learning materials, we only have the pictures for the single word materials, okay? And the reason for that is we include pictures with the single words to help the children comprehend what the words mean. So for example, if you showed a child the word lion and they'd never seen what a lion was before, they wouldn't understand what the word meant. They could even learn how to read the word, but they wouldn't understand it, right? And what's the point of all that? So we show the pictures along with the words so the child can grow, right, in their comprehension. But however, when we get to the couplets and sentences, the children have already seen what those words are. They've already seen those words as single words. So for example, if we're showing them the couplet red apple, they've already seen the card for red as a single word, the picture and the word, and they've already seen the word apple, both the picture of an apple and the word apple. So it's not really necessary to show them a picture of red apple along with the couplet. So that's why with couplets and sentences, we don't have pictures. There are pictures with the homemade books, just as a way of giving those homemade books a little bit more excitement to them. Okay, but yeah, that's why you're not seeing pictures with the couplets and sentences. Okay. Penelope also says, I've also reduced the viewings to 5 sets 2 times in a day, as my 18-month-old grandson sometimes seems disinterested, despite us using all the positive and engaging tools for presenting. Do you have any other ideas to keep him interested? We have added animal and vehicle sounds, which seem to help. Well, 18 months old Penelope, can be a bit of a challenging age, because at that age, children are just starting to become competent walkers. And they usually at that point really want to walk around throughout the day. And sometimes they want to start climbing on things, and they're very physically active. And that's a good thing. They should be physically active. That's their brain's way of learning how to develop balance, right? And develop coordination, which is so important for the safety of the young child. Honestly, my advice for you right now, you've already done the first thing, which is reduce. You went from 3 sessions for each category to 2 sessions. I think that's a great idea. I'd probably reduce the number of sets that you're doing. I'd probably, instead of doing 5 sets, which is what I recommend in the reading before school course, let's drop it to 3 sets. So you're doing 3 sets of words 2 times in a day each. Let's see how that goes. Sometimes just reducing the quantity for the child so they have more time to kind of roam and move physically is a good idea. Okay. I'm presuming, like you said, Penny, that you're doing everything like only showing 1 category at a time, right? So you're only showing 1 set at a time, keeping the session short. That's very, very important. All right. Oh, Penny just leaves off in her comments about the reading program. I'll put it up on the screen. She says, P.S. He is now attempting and has so many more words in his vocabulary since commencing the program. Yeah, the reading program is a great way to improve speech development, right? Because if you think about it, when we teach a child to read, reading is the visual form of language. So most children, when they're developing, they only hear language through the auditory pathway, right? Through hearing. But children on our program hear the language, but they also see it in the reading program. And so we often find it really helps speech development. Thanks so much for sharing, Penny. For everyone who's joining late, I'm answering all the questions first from parents who have enrolled in the Doman Learning courses. They've pre-submitted them through our Facebook group, and then I will go to questions from the public. So if you're joining, go ahead and type your questions on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you are, and I will get to them. Brenda is saying, hello there. I am starting the swimming program with a child with special needs who is 9 years old. The problem is he likes to keep his mouth open. Any suggestion for blowing bubbles and going underwater? I have the book. All right, Brenda, that's a good question. So, I have to admit here, swimming is not my area of expertise because I'm a cognitive development staff member. It's my parents and my wife, Melissa, who are more knowledgeable with the physical areas. What we will often do, Brenda, when we're teaching swimming to a young child for the first time is we will stand in the pool across from the child face to face. So imagine I'm with a child, I'm holding them in the water face to face. And what we will do is something like we'll count down from 3, like 3, 2, 1, under. And then we will just very quickly, holding the child, dunk them under the water and then bring them back up. So again, we're face to face. They're always face to face with us. That's important because it helps the child feel safe, right? They always see mom or dad or grandparents' face. They know they're okay. So you go 3, 2, 1, under, and then you put your child under the water and then back up. So it's literally a split second. But this is very helpful for teaching children. You can also show them because you're face to face, you can show them with your own mouth, like 3, 2, 1, under. And that's what I'll usually do. I do this with my nephews when I'm teaching them to swim. I breathe in a dramatic way so they see, oh, he's breathing in, and then close the mouth, right? And then I dunk them under. And the child starts to replicate what the adult does. You'll start to see them. You'll go 3, 2, 1, and you'll see your kids starting to get excited in the pool, and you go, and you'll see their eyes will open up like yours, and they'll breathe in that air and close their mouths. Okay, and because it's only 1 second, it's like a very quick introduction to holding your breath. And of course, there are going to be times where a child's going to drink a bit of water and cough a little bit. They'll be okay if you're doing it for a second. But you're teaching them how to hold their breath And you're doing it in a joyous way because you're relaxed and happy, and they see that, they'll be relaxed and happy. Okay, great question, Brenda. I almost never get swimming related questions, but I always like that. All right. Next question. I have a question here from Dana that says, Brenly, 31 months with Down syndrome, is walking. We took your course in August and she was doing the peg leg crawl. We did the crawling program for about 6 weeks and corrected her crawl to a cross pattern. That's amazing, Dana. She has not graduated that program yet, but with your advice, we are switching to a walking program for now. By the way, congratulations on her walking. That's amazing. So Dana asks here, what is the walking milestone and some of the tasks we can work on now? And then second question, okay, I'll get to the second question in a second. So the first question is about the walking milestone. So the first general walking milestone that I would shoot for, Dana, is 20 minutes of walking nonstop. And usually we do this outdoors with a child as long as parent and child can tolerate the weather. If the child doesn't like being out in the cold, or if it's really hard for the parent, you could do this walking in like a big store or a mall. Okay, just to have a place where there are stretches where you can walk, but outdoors is ideal. And for most people around the world, they're able to do this. So the first major goal would be 20 minutes of nonstop walking. And that will likely take some time to build up. The second goal that we try to reach is 1.6 kilometers of walking, which is also the same as 1 mile of walking in 30 minutes. So we're really trying to build up stamina, balance, and speed all at the same time. First of all, to help coordination, but also to help, right? The faster a child walks, the more deeply they will breathe. That increases oxygen delivery to the brain. That's very important for brain development and speech development. So those are the two big tasks, Dana, or milestones that you want to reach. And then usually we will start having the child walk in different environments, like walking up and down hills to add some challenge, or walking on uneven terrain, right? Like taking them to walk in a park where there are maybe rocks and tree roots, and the child has to navigate a tougher walking environment. That's very good for visual development as well, by the way. Okay, second question from Dana. She has a 13 millimeter hole in the heart. What breathing program is recommended? So Dana, for the, if we look at the different Doman International oxygenation programs for kids with special needs, the first program, which is called the Breathing Enhancement Program, we would not do with a child with a 13 millimeter hole. Our doctors would just say that it's not safe to do. Now, the Breathing Enhancement Program is a safe program, but it does induce quite deep breathing. And for that reason, we wouldn't want to put too much stress on the respiratory system. So that would not be the program. We have another program called the Sensory Respiratory Training Program. And this is a training program that teaches the child how to breathe in a deep and regulated way. Because very often children with special needs breathe in a unpredictable and shallow way. And that's not ideal for oxygenation. And Dana, I can give you a link to the Doman International Advanced course about the respiratory programs, because you took the Doman Method course, and in that course we talk about the first oxygenation program, the breathing enhancement program, which I don't think would be right. But we have another advanced course where we teach about sensory respiratory training so you could, at least in that video, kind of see what I'm talking about in action. Okay, I hope that is helpful. Let me see. Okay, I've gotten to all my pre-submitted questions. Let me now see if we've got any questions on Facebook or Instagram. So Dana is saying, So do the mile for 20 minutes, then add the hill walking, correct? Yes, that is correct. So yeah, in the beginning, I just would want you to focus on walking on a flat surface, and then after that, I would focus on the 1.6 kilometers in 30 minutes, and you could also start adding walking in different environments. Okay, and the reason why is, for a child when they are just starting to walk, you want to make sure that they are confident walking on a flat surface, but before, and that they've got some basic stamina as well before having them walk in an uneven terrain or in a surface where there are hills that require more work. Hope that makes sense. All right. I see there are a bunch of people who have joined me on Instagram, but I don't see any questions yet. So, parents on Instagram, go ahead and start typing your questions in. We do have about 5 more minutes. So I'm happy to take more questions as they come in. For all of those of you who are joining late, this is our monthly Doman Learning question and answer session. We do these every month at Doman Learning. And I made a couple of quick announcements at the beginning, basically saying at 6 p.m. at Doman Learning, we're releasing a video about the history of Baby Einstein, which is the famous educational company, put that in quotation marks, that is owned by Disney or was bought by Disney. We did a whole video about the history of Baby Einstein and talking about, did it truly help children? Is it useful? And what have we learned from baby media? So that will be released by Doman Learning at 6 p.m. Please check it out. I recorded it with my brother, Noah. We had a load of fun doing it. Okay, let's see. I don't see any other questions yet. All right, everyone, I'll give you one more minute, see if any of last minute questions come in. I also said earlier in the presentation, if any of you want to sign up for a Doman Learning course, that could be the Reading Before School course, which is all about the Doman Method reading program, or the Math Before School course, or buy one of our bundles that include all of our courses, just use the coupon code Spencer 10 at checkout, and you'll get 10% off the course. All right, I'll give everyone 30 more seconds. And by the way, if you, I do recommend that you go and check out the Doman Learning YouTube page, or you check out our videos that we've been posting on our Facebook or Instagram pages. We've started to create more long form content, talking about different topics in education. So we did a whole video, for example, on cell phones in schools. Should cell phones be allowed in schooling? So I highly recommend some of the videos that we've created. All right, I've got a question here from AVS on Instagram, and she says, my 5.5-year-old autistic girl has repetitive speech. How do I teach her phonics and counting? Really good question. I'm going to throw this up on the screen. So, AVS, the first thing that I will say, which I think is very important for you to know, is that phonics is not the most efficient or the most successful way to teach a child with special needs how to read. And for a few reasons. And by the way, they're pretty much the same reasons why phonics is not the best way to teach any child to read. Here are the issues with teaching a child to read with phonics. The first thing is it's not fun. For many children, it requires a lot of work, right? They essentially have to learn the different letters. They have to memorize the sounds the letters make. And the problem with that is for many children, letters are meaningless, right? Think about it. The only way to make a letter interesting to a child is to relate the letter to a word. So we say to the child, A is for apple, B is for banana, because A on its own is not interesting at all. It's only interesting because you can relate it with a word like apple. So children, first of all, are much more interested in words than letters. So it's much better to teach a child using whole words, using sight words, than teaching a child phonics. The second problem with phonics, and this is especially problematic for children with special needs, it requires speech. And speech is often one of the greatest challenges and weaknesses for children with special needs. So imagine we say to the child, okay, here's the word, and you need to know what each of these letters sounds they make, and you have to sound it out. And you have a child who has poor speech or unreliable speech, and now they have to go lion, right? And that makes it very difficult for them because they have to rely on speech, which is their biggest challenge. And the craziness of it all, if we take children with autism, we've taught tens of thousands of children with autism to read with the Doman method. They are great visual learners. So if I teach them this word and I say, this is lion, and I teach this word maybe 3 times in a day for a week, at the end of the week, if I take different words and I say to that child, hey, where's the word lion? And I hold up words like this, the vast majority of children will be like, oh, that one, that one, that one. They'll get 100% correct, most of the kids, because they're good visual learners. But speech is their greatest difficulty. Why would we take their greatest difficulty of speech and tie it together with their greatest strength of visual learning? So phonics is it's very often unsuccessful and a kind of miserable experience for children with special needs. And so I recommend teaching using a sight word approach, like the Doman method. And AVS, I would highly recommend after this that you send us a message. Send us a message at Doman Learning after this so we can just send you more resources. Sorry, I'm just writing down your Instagram handle so I have it. But yeah, your child would be greatly helped by this program, right? Because what we can do is improve your daughter's comprehension with the use of images and then teach her to read using sight words. This program is greatly helpful for speech development. I'm not sure if you were here earlier, but one parent was talking about how their child's speech had increased since starting the reading program. One of my favorite quotes, which has really stuck with me, is one mom of a boy who was 4 years old. He had been diagnosed with autism. She did our reading program with her son. The boy's name is Leo. And she said to me, the reading program gave Leo his voice. Because when she started to show Leo these words, because these are the visual form of language, Leo, for the first time in his life, started repeating language. And when he started our program at age 4, I believe he only had 2 words of speech. So he, barely had any spontaneous language. And now he's 8 years old and he tells stories and speaks fluently. And parents will often joke, we went from having a child who didn't speak, who now he never stops talking. And that's one of the great things about the reading program. So now AVS, on the topic of counting, there's actually a more important mathematical skill that your daughter needs to get before counting, and that is quantity recognition. Many children can learn to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They can memorize an order of numbers. But then if you put down 3 coins on a table, you say, how many coins are there? They can't tell you, right? Or maybe they can try to count 1, 2, 3, maybe. But they don't understand that this is 3. And so counting, of course, counting is an important skill, right? We need to have the ability, if let's say there are many coins on a table, to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's important. But just as important is quantity recognition. When I show you a quantity like this on my hand, your brain instantly knew this was 4, right? I showed this to you and you didn't have to go 1, 2, 3, 4. You instantly knew that's 4. That's because you have a neurological ability called innate number sense. Innate number sense is the ability to look at a small quantity and know what it is. Almost like looking at a picture, right? It's as if I show you a picture of a lion, you don't look at it and go, oh, look, it's something with a nose and eyes and a mouth. No, you look at it and you go, oh, that's a lion. You understand the whole by looking at the picture. When I show you this, you understand as a whole that's 4. You don't have to go 1, 2, 3, 4. So the best thing to first do with a child is teach innate number sense. And you do that by teaching quantity. And we do that with the Doman method by teaching quantities using cards. And I'm looking around just to see if I have any cards nearby. I've got so many materials here, but unfortunately, I don't see any right by me right now. Here's an example, right? This is showing the quantity 2. So we teach a child how to recognize the quantities so that they understand those quantities. And then when you think about it, once you understand quantities, understanding concepts like addition are much easier. Because how are you supposed to understand that 2 plus 3 make 5 together? How are you supposed to understand that if you don't know this is 2 and you don't know this is 3? That's why we have to start with quantity recognition. Then we can start building on that. So AVS, I highly recommend you get in contact with us and we can coach you further specifically for a child with special needs, because the Doman method has, most of the parents joining this webinar right now have neurotypical kids, but we have books like this book, Answering Autism, the Doman Method Plan for Autism and Neurodevelopmental Delays. I wrote this book with my father, Douglas. It's got not just reading and math, it's got speech development, it's got physical development, social development. And then we've also got this book, The Doman Method from Special Needs to Wellness. I highly recommend these books for you. They're available on Amazon. If you put my name, Spencer Doman, you'll find them on Amazon. Okay, AVS says, thank you very much. Your message helped me understand how I can help my child better. Related to counting dot cards and Montessori bead methods, I'm really confused. Okay, reach out, AVS, and we can help, show you what kind of online courses we have that I think would be very helpful for you. Oh, okay, great, Abitha. Thank you. I'm glad that you have Answering Autism. Fantastic. All right. I have a question here from Neurodesarrollo. Hello. Hi, Spencer. My boy is almost 3 years old and he has Down syndrome. He is not interested anymore with the math cards. Would you suggest using concrete materials in the program? Suggestions. So in the Doman Learning material, in the Doman Learning course, I actually have classes for children under 2.5 years of age in the Math Before School course. And then I have classes for children over 2.5 years of age. Because what I found is that when children get beyond 2.5, sometimes when we try to teach quantity recognition through cards, they kind of bore of it. And so I will often, to your point, use something material, physical, to teach them. Like I use poker chips. Poker chips are just really good because you can get all the same color. They're easily handled. The child can pick them up and they're symbolic, and that's the most important thing. You don't want something that will distract the child. So yeah, absolutely. We will often use materials. So I recommend, again, if you send us a message after this session, we can share with you a link to the Math Before School course. And I'd recommend watching the modules for children over 2.5 years of age. So just to get a better sense of how to teach your child, because probably he's just getting bored with the kind of baby math program. All right. Let's see if I've gotten to all the questions. I think I have. Well, anyway, thanks everyone for joining me today. As I said, some of you, I asked you just to reach out, afterwards, send us a message so we can send you some links and helpful information. So go ahead and do that. Shoot Doman Learning a message and we'll kind of take it from there. All right, everyone, have a great rest of your January. I'll be back in February. Make sure to follow if you're not already doing it, follow Doman Learning on Facebook and Instagram so that you get our announcements for the next question and answer sessions. If you've already enrolled for a Doman Learning course, make sure you get into our Facebook group, the Doman Learning Parents Facebook group, where we also make announcements. And you can also pre-submit questions for answering. All right, everyone, have a great rest of your day. Thanks so much for joining me. Bye-bye.